You just found the house. The kitchen's been updated, the floors look clean, the backyard is perfect, and the price is right. You're already mentally moving furniture in. And then the inspection report comes back with 47 pages, and you don't even know where to start. Half of it looks like nothing. The other half is making your stomach turn. The problem is, most buyers don't know the difference between something minor and something that will cost them $30,000 before they've even unpacked a single box. And I'm not just talking about buyers here. If you already own your home and you've never had it properly inspected, you could be sitting on problems right now that are quietly getting worse every single season. Hit subscribe before we begin, because I'm going to break down the 6 inspection red flags you absolutely cannot afford to dismiss. And I'm going to tell you exactly what each one means for your wallet, your family's safety, and the long-term value of your property. I'm Jerry Davis, and I've been in construction and renovation for over 2 decades. I've worked on everything from small bathroom flips to full gut renovations on homes that looked completely fine from the curb. I've walked through thousands of homes, talked to hundreds of inspectors, and I've seen buyers brush off serious warning signs because a seller said, "Oh, we already know about that. It's not a big deal." That line right there should send you running, because in my experience, when a seller minimizes something an inspector flagged, there's almost always a reason. So let's get into it, and by the end of this video, you're going to know exactly what to push back on, what to walk away from, and what to use as negotiating leverage. Let's start with the one that comes up more than almost anything else, and that's water damage and moisture intrusion. Now, I know that sounds obvious. Of course, water damage is bad. But here's what people miss. It's not just about the stain on the ceiling or the warped floorboard you can see. The real problem with moisture is everything you can't see. Water moves. It travels behind walls, through subfloor layers, underneath tile, and into framing members that you will never lay eyes on without tearing something open. And by the time mold has established itself inside a wall cavity, you're not talking about wiping something down with bleach. You're talking about full remediation, potentially removing drywall, treating framing, replacing insulation, and in worse cases, dealing with structural softening in the wood itself. Here's what no one tells you. A fresh coat of paint can hide a moisture stain for a very long time. That's not an accident. Sellers and even some flippers will repaint over water damage without ever addressing the source. So, when your inspector notes active or past moisture intrusion, your next question should always be, where did it come from? Has it been fixed? And has anyone confirmed the fix actually worked? If they can't answer all 3 of those with documentation, that's a problem. Look for staining on ceilings near exterior walls. Check under sinks and around every toilet base. Get into the basement or crawl space and look at the rim joists and foundation walls. Efflorescence, that white chalky residue on concrete, means water has been pushing through. Soft spots in subfloor, near showers and tubs, are another one. These are not cosmetic issues. These are structural and health concerns, depending on how far things have progressed. The fix can range from a couple $100s to reroute a gutter downspout, all the way up to major waterproofing work that runs into the tens of thousands. You need to know which one you're dealing with before you close. Now let's talk about the roof, because this is where I see people miscalculate the real cost all the time. A roof inspection tells you approximate age, current condition, and how many layers of shingles are already on the structure. Here's what matters. Most asphalt shingle roofs have a lifespan of roughly 20 to 25 years under normal conditions. If the report says the roof is 15 to 18 years old, you need to start factoring in replacement costs within the next 5 to 7 years. A full roof replacement on an average-sized home is going to run you anywhere from $8,000 to $18,000, depending on your market, the pitch of the roof, and whether you're doing architectural shingles or something more premium. That's not a small number. But the bigger red flag isn't even age. It's multiple layers. Some municipalities allow 2 layers of shingles before a full tear-off is required. If you already have 2 layers on that roof, any future replacement means stripping everything down to the deck, inspecting the decking for rot and soft spots, and then starting fresh. That adds labor cost and disposal cost. And if the decking has damage, now you're replacing boards too. When an inspector flags curling shingles, granule loss in the gutters, or missing flashing around the chimney and pipe boots, those aren't just minor wear items. Those are entry points for water. I've seen one missing piece of flashing around a chimney cause water damage that worked its way down through 2 floors over about 3 years before anyone figured out where it was coming from. Don't let a seller tell you the roof has a few years left without getting a roofer up there yourself for an independent opinion. Inspectors are generalists. A roofing contractor can give you a much more specific read on what's actually going on up there. Third thing, and this one drives me absolutely nuts because it's completely preventable, is outdated or unsafe electrical. Specifically, I'm talking about knob and tube wiring, aluminum branch circuit wiring, Federal Pacific or Zinsco electrical panels, and homes where someone did their own DIY wiring without a permit. Each of these is a different kind of problem, but they all fall under the same category of, this is a fire risk, and your homeowner's insurance company is going to have a lot to say about it. Knob and tube wiring is the old cloth-wrapped wiring you find in homes built before roughly 1950. It has no ground wire, it degrades with age, and it was never designed to handle the electrical load of a modern home. The bigger issue is that people add insulation around it, or close off attic spaces, and trap heat around it, which is exactly how electrical fires start. Aluminum wiring was used heavily in the late 60s and early 70s because copper prices spiked. The problem with aluminum is that it expands and contracts more than copper when it heats and cools, which means connections loosen over time, which creates arcing, which creates fire risk. A licensed electrician can pigtail aluminum connections with a specific connector and antioxidant compound, but this has to be done at every single outlet and switch in the house. It's doable, but it's labor intensive. And then there's Federal Pacific. Look, I'm going to be direct here. If you're buying a home with a Federal Pacific stab lock panel, get it replaced. Period. These panels have a documented history of breakers that fail to trip under overload conditions. That's the entire point of a breaker. It's supposed to cut power when something goes wrong. When it doesn't, the wiring overheats, and you have a fire. The cost to replace a panel runs somewhere between $1,500 and $4,000, depending on your location and the scope of work. That is money worth spending. Don't let anyone talk you out of it. Fourth, red flag. Foundation issues. And I want to be careful here because not every crack in a foundation is a catastrophe. Hairline cracks in poured concrete are common and often just a sign of normal curing and settling. Horizontal cracks are a completely different story. A horizontal crack in a block or poured concrete foundation wall means the wall is under lateral pressure from soil on the outside. That's a structural problem. Stair-step cracking in block foundations is another serious one. So, is any evidence of the foundation walls bowing inward? These are signs the foundation is moving in a way it shouldn't be. Here's what I tell people. If your inspector notes foundation concerns, don't just get a quote from a general contractor. Get a structural engineer to evaluate it. Not a foundation repair company, an independent structural engineer. Foundation repair companies are in the business of selling you repairs. And I'm not saying they're dishonest, but they have an incentive to find problems. A structural engineer has no skin in the game and will give you an honest read on whether you're looking at a monitor and wait situation or whether you need active intervention. Foundation repairs can range from a few $1,000s for some carbon fiber straps on a mildly bowing wall, all the way up to $50,000 or $60,000 for underpinning or major structural work. You need to know which category you're in. Fifth, and this is one that homebuyers consistently underestimate: HVAC condition and age. I get it. The house has central air. The heat works when the inspector tests it, so it seems fine. But here's the problem. An HVAC system that's 18 years old might function on the day of inspection and fail completely during the first heat wave of the summer you move in. The average lifespan of a central air conditioning system is 15 to 20 years. A furnace runs about 15 to 25 years, depending on the type and how it's been maintained. These are not small replacements. A new HVAC system, depending on the size of your home and whether you're doing a full replacement of both heating and cooling equipment, is going to run you somewhere between $5,000 and $15,000 in most markets. Higher if you're upgrading ductwork or if the system was improperly sized to begin with. Here's a pro tip. Ask when the last time the system was serviced was. If the answer is, I don't know, or we just had it looked at without any paperwork to back that up, be skeptical. A well-maintained system will have service records, filters changed, coils cleaned, refrigerant checked. An unmaintained system is a system that's working harder than it should be and wearing out faster than it should be. Also, check the ductwork for disconnected sections, especially in crawl spaces and attics. It's shockingly common to find duct connections that have come apart over the years, meaning the system has been pushing conditioned air directly into unconditioned space. Your energy bills tell that story loud and clear. Sixth, and I want to make sure I spend real time on this one because it gets dismissed constantly: plumbing red flags. Specifically, I'm talking about polybutylene pipes, active leaks or signs of past leaks under fixtures, improper pipe slope or venting, water pressure issues, and the age and condition of the water heater. Polybutylene was used heavily from the late 70s through the mid-90s. It's a gray plastic pipe that reacts poorly to chlorine in municipal water supplies. Over time, it becomes brittle and fails. It was the subject of a massive class action settlement in the 90s. If a home has poly bipiping, you're looking at an eventual full repipe, which is a significant project. Costs vary widely by home size and local labor rates, but a full repipe on a 2-story home can easily run $10,000 to $20,000. Low water pressure can point to a few different things. It might be as simple as a partially closed main shutoff, or it might be mineral buildup in the pipes, or it might mean your main line coming in from the street has a problem. Galvanized steel pipes, common in homes built before the 60s, corrode from the inside out over time. As the inside diameter shrinks from rust buildup, water pressure drops and water quality suffers. If you've got galvanized plumbing, it's not a matter of if you'll repipe. It's a matter of when. Water heaters are another one that people forget to negotiate on. A water heater over 12 years old is living on borrowed time. They're rated for about 8 to 12 years typically, and failures are not always gradual. Sometimes they go all at once, and when a water heater fails, it can mean a flooded utility room or basement. A new water heater runs anywhere from $800 to $2,000 installed, depending on type and capacity. If the report shows an aging unit, ask for a credit at closing. It's a completely reasonable ask. Now, look, I'm not telling you to walk away from every house that has an inspection report with problems. Every older home is going to have something. The question is always whether the problems are manageable, whether they're already priced into the purchase price, and whether the seller is willing to either fix things before closing or give you a credit that actually reflects the real cost of the work. The mistake people make is falling in love with the house before they understand what they're actually buying. And contractors love that buyer, by the way, because that buyer will sign anything to make the deal happen, and then panic 6 months later when the first bill comes in. Talk to your inspector about severity. Ask them directly, if this were your house, What would you be most concerned about? A good inspector will tell you. Use that conversation to prioritize. Not everything on a 47-page report is equal. Some things are code items that need documentation. Some things are life safety issues that need immediate attention. Some things are watch and maintain situations. Know the difference before you sit down at the closing table. Tell me in the comments which one of these you've seen in a home you are buying or already own. Because I guarantee at least one of these shows up in almost every inspection report. And half the time, the buyer has no idea what they're actually looking at. I read every comment, and I want to know what you're dealing with. A good home purchase is not about finding a perfect house. It doesn't exist. It's about understanding exactly what you're getting into, pricing the risk correctly, and making sure you're not inheriting someone else's deferred maintenance at full market value. That's how you protect yourself. That's how you make a smart decision with the biggest purchase most people will ever make in their lives. Hit like, subscribe, and share this with someone who's got an inspection report sitting in their email right now, trying to figure out what it all means. I'll catch you in the next one.